Hey, what's up you guys? It's Travis. And this morning I wasn't really planning on filming a video, but I woke up and I saw on Twitter that today was Suicide Prevention Awareness Day. And if you guys follow me on Twitter, you'd see that right away I just started rifling off tweets about this subject because it's obviously, for me, a very personal issue. Well, it's not very obvious because I haven't really talked about it with you guys before. Because that's not really what my channel's about. But the truth is, this actually is a very personal issue to me because I've dealt with this on a very personal level. And so when I was sending these tweets this morning, you know, to try and raise awareness, I just didn't feel like sending tweets was enough. So I wanted to kind of be honest with you guys and tell you why this is such a personal subject to me. Maybe with my story, someone out there can connect to what I went through, and maybe it can, actually prevent someone from doing something that I almost did a long time ago. That's why I guess I wanted to share my suicide survival story. I haven't talked to you guys much about my childhood or where I'm from, but long story short, I came from a pretty unhappy, unstable childhood. Drugs and alcohol kind of affected a lot of my family's life, and I felt really alone. On top of dealing with my sexuality, that I didn't even know how to deal with at the time, I just felt like I was dealing with all these problems by myself. And it was a really unhappy environment to grow up in because I didn't feel like I had anywhere I could turn to, especially because living in that environment was all I'd ever known. So I didn't think that there was ever potential for happiness because unhappiness was all I'd ever known. So because of the living situation, I started losing hope by the time I was around, between 13 to 15 years old. And in between those 2 years was about the time when the first thoughts came to my mind that maybe I should just end my life. And, that thought, it seemed to come out of nowhere too, because I was used to feeling sad and scared and afraid and alone, but never until that point did I feel like I wanted to end my own life. But once that thought, went inside my head, it stuck there and I couldn't get rid of it, and it kept coming up over and over and over. But I started feeling sad no matter what I was doing, even when things weren't as bad as they were. So finally, when I was 15 years old, I was done, and I decided I was going to try and end my own life. And I haven't really talked about this with many people since it happened because I've kind of detached from it and I kind of left it somewhere in the past because, I don't know, I think it's better, I'd prefer to leave it back there. But yeah, I decided to try and end my own life, and I was really unhappy. I got some liquor from my dad's alcohol cabinet and I drank like a bottle of whiskey or whatever it was. I drank a bottle of hard liquor, basically. And I went to the kitchen after that and I took a butcher knife from the cabinet and I just started cutting myself. And I was still afraid, no matter how drunk I was. I still felt, and I didn't want to feel anymore. And so I just kept cutting, but I was so afraid that I couldn't cut deep enough. So when I knew it wasn't going to work, I figured I realized that I wasn't going to be able to do it that way. So my mom, she had a thing for pain pills and she had a whole bottle in the cabinet. And so I decided that's how I would do it. So I took the pill bottle and I got some more liquor and I started taking a handful of pills and throwing them back with the alcohol. And before I knew it, I finished both the entire bottles. And I was like ready at that point, because I just didn't want to feel the pain anymore, and I didn't want to feel the sadness. Fuck. I just didn't want to feel sad anymore. So when I finished doing all that, I went upstairs. My dad wasn't home at the time. I think he was at work. And my mom, she was in bed. And as angry as I was with my mom, I didn't want to leave without saying goodbye, I guess. And I knew I would miss her, or I knew she would miss me. And so before I went to my bedroom, which was to the left at the top of the stairs, I went to the right, and I went to go just kiss her goodnight. You know, she was already asleep, and I walked into her bedroom. She was fast asleep, of course, and I went over to the bed, and I tried to give her a kiss, but then I collapsed. And obviously the thud of me hitting the ground woke her up, and she saw me there, and I don't remember anything at that point, but I guess she knew that something was wrong, and so she took me to the bathroom and she gagged me and made me throw up. I mean, obviously she saw my arm, so that kind of gave me away. She stayed with me the rest of the night, and she made sure that I woke up the next morning, and thank God I did. Unfortunately, after that, you know, she saw the marks on my arm and she saw what I tried to do, and the thing was, our family was so big on not sharing your problems and not talking about what's going on with yourself, and I think that's a big reason why our family eventually kind of fell apart. But she just covered it up. She covered it up and she brushed it under the table, because that's just not what you show to other people. You know, you don't show that weakness in yourself. Although she had her own weaknesses, and my dad did, and obviously I did. But it was something taboo for us to talk about, you know, so you're just trained not to talk about what's going on with you. And I think that that can be really damaging. So at that point, after that night, when I tried to end my life, I realized that I had to change something, because I was very unhappy. And so I did. I left, and I ran away from home, and I never came back. And it was tough, for sure, but I really think it saved my life. From that moment, you know, those feelings, they went away for a while, but they still come back every now and then. Every time I get into that headspace, sometimes it can be for, you know, some really big life event, or sometimes it can be for no reason at all. But I feel like someone that's ever had suicidal thoughts is that much more likely to have them again. And it's a struggle, you know, I don't think you ever really, truly beat those feelings. I've learned that the best way to deal with it is to get out of your mind. So much of your sadness and your despair comes from being stuck inside your own head and not being able to see the world outside of how you're looking at it. And what you're seeing, it's not real, you know, it's just the way you're perceiving things. And, you know, things might be bad, but as long as you're alive, you have the capabilities to change that. You can make the change, you know, because it's your life. My advice to someone that's dealing with suicidal thoughts is to reach out to someone that cares about you. Talk about your feelings, and then really assess what you can do to change the situation. I know how hard it can be to be in that headspace, and I know how impossible it can seem to get out of it, but you can get out of it. It is possible, and that's kind of what I wanted to share with you guys today. I wasn't anticipating it. I just literally woke up, but I really wanted to share this story with you guys, because I know that a lot of my channel sells, you know, this idea that life's always good and life's always happy, which it is great, and I do like to focus on that, and I like to focus on the positive, because focusing on the negative just brings me down and brings me closer to that headspace, and I don't want to go back to that headspace. And so I try to stay positive, and I try to make people smile, because I know how it feels to not be able to smile. And it's a really crappy feeling. I guess what I wanted to say in this is if you feel like you're dealing with suicidal thoughts, just remember that you matter, okay? Your life is not insignificant, and you're here for really great things. But the only way you're going to be able to do those is if you stick around for them. Life is not guaranteed. We can go today, we can go in 50 years, but the thing is, you have so much potential inside you. You know, you are such a beautiful miracle, and I hate the idea of someone giving up that miracle because they're feeling sad, because you never know what great things lie in your future. And so I really hope that you can find it in yourself to love yourself and stick around for those great things, because life can be really hard and it can be lonely, but it can also be really great and really beautiful. And I've seen that a lot, just even through having my channel and through meeting a lot of you guys. And so yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to share my story. And it wasn't easy, but I feel like it was necessary because, you know, I'm not always happy, and when I get sad I can get really sad, and that's just a part of life, you know. But relying on people that care about you is one of the most important things you can do. So don't go through this alone, okay? And remember how much you guys matter, okay? Because you do matter. I don't care what anybody else says, whether it's your family that doesn't approve of your lifestyle or bullies that just want to make your life hell. Screw them. This video isn't for them. This video is for you. And know that you matter. You can get through this. Keep going. Keep moving forward, because there are brighter days ahead, okay? So that's it. And an airplane to send us off. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Thank you for letting me share my story. That was unexpected. I haven't even talked about that in a few years, but I feel like it's a good thing. And I feel like that kind of honesty is important. So you know that, you know, you're not alone having gone through those feelings, but there are people that have survived it and have come out happy. If you talked to my 15-year-old self and you told him I'd become the person I am today, I definitely would have put that knife down, you know, because there were so many great things that I would have missed out on had I ended my life that night. And that's just kind of the message I want to send to you guys, that you don't have to give up. Don't give up. So that's it. Thank you guys again for listening to my story. Thank you guys for all the love. Know that I love you. And if you just remember one thing from this video, it's just I want you to remember that you matter.